Welcome to Chicago Flip, the journey to appraisal. And this is a long journey, but I want to kind of walk you through the process and where we are today. So everything started back in April when I saw a tweet from the Chicago Urban League about something called the Chicago Land Bank. I go on, I apply, I get awarded a property, I go through a permitting process, and now I'm in the construction phase. There's a ton that happen in between those things, but essentially, the Chicago Land Bank is tasked with making these neighborhoods beautiful again, taking vacant properties and allowing for developers to come in and bring them back up to a livable standard. Now, this is the property that I saw in West Humboldt Park, and I'm pretty familiar with where areas are being developed, and I know West Humboldt Park is going to have a lot of the investment coming. So I saw it and I thought that it has some potential. West Humboldt Park is right next to the park itself, a little bit west of Pulaski, but next to the 606, and a lot of good areas over there. Now, in the design phase, I want to actually think about what's going to add the most value to the property. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually deconstructing and gutting the full home and then rebuilding the rooms how I'd like them. So on the first floor, we're going to have a bedroom, and then we'll have this living area, a large kitchen, a bathroom, a breakfast nook in the back, and then a sunroom. The sunroom will lead to outside, and you'll be able to kind of access the outside area there. Upstairs, we're actually going to do the same thing. So we're going to gut the full thing, and then we're going to kind of rebuild it in a way that we feel as if buyers and a homeowner would actually like. So you come in, you're going to have a den area. So it's a really large landing that you walk into. To the left hand side, you're going to have a lot of storage units. So these are different closets, a linen closet. You'll have that first bedroom right there on the right. You see those skylights are also highlighted in this drawing. We're going to want to bring in a ton of light. It'll be a light there in the front of the room, lights across the top with skylights. And then each room will really have the ability to kind of just walk out, have a nice little kind of storage area outside of it, washer and dryer, and then a bathroom there as well. You'll also have access to the sunroom from the master bedroom. Now, for this sunroom, we don't actually have an egress there, right? So that sunroom is just, to that store. If I want to go downstairs, I need to go back out to do that. Now, most of the homes in this area have a layout where there's multiple units. But for me, I'm like, okay, it's easier for me to kind of build this thing out as a single family home. A lot of the violations that came from this property, and one of the reasons it became vacant, is because they were trying to have multiple kind of families living here, which makes sense, right? But we're going to make this into a single family home and see, and kind of see how that does in the marketplace. I'm seeing some comparables that I feel pretty good with. Now, at this point, it's fully kind of gutted out, and this is kind of 1 week in, honestly, just one weekend. And we got everything down, but this is plaster and lab. Plaster and lab is before they had drywall. This stuff is nasty. You see those kind of popsicle sticks in between? What they do is they actually take the plaster and they kind of squeegee it in between, and once it gets in there, it kind of locks up. But that stuff is really tough to get up out of there. But I felt really good after that first week. It just kind of really, at this point, you're cleaning the kitchen, right? Before you cook, you want to clean the kitchen. So you're just getting everything out of there so you can see what you're really working with. And I'm just trying to make things easier, as some days I have workers come through. Some days I'm just kind of out there by myself. But this day I'm kind of setting it up so the next day when they come, it's easier to kind of pick everything up, separating things out in the pile. And honestly, buying the tools and stuff that makes things easier. One thing I wish I would have had at this point was garbage cans, right? Just garbage cans you can put everything in, like you see here, and just take it out to the dumpster that's out there. Now, you can see things are starting to get a lot more cleared out, and I'm starting to see the bones more here. But the main thing I need to get into is that ceiling. So I was excited once they started to kind of take the ceiling down, because I could see all the structural elements. And once you can see the structural elements, you really kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Now, I realized that this chimney is a problem, and I didn't really think about that prior to. So I'm gonna have to actually take that chimney completely out because it gives me more living space, right? And that's the biggest thing I want to maximize is living space. So it's early in the project. Continue to follow along with me, but I want to also talk a bit about the comparables that I'm seeing. So this is the first comparable, and this is maybe like a block and a half away. All of these are West Humboldt Park, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. The question is, like, I think their basement may be actually finished, and they might have this thing partitioned for 2 units here. But at 289, I I will spend around 160 to 170 to bring this thing back up to speed. Maybe a little bit more than that, but if I could get 290 from this project, I'll be extremely happy with that. But this is a comparable. I'd have to, looking at the photos and stuff, I feel like we're on par. It's another comparable. This is right up the street, same exact block as mine, actually. Mine is 905, right? So this is 325 that this one went for, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. My assumption is that it has a finished basement. I see that it back it has like a garage. I'm not gonna have either one of those things. But I think this gives me a good comparative to look at. And this is a smaller home. And for me, I'm kind of looking at this like this is and I think this is kind of the lowest I would look at. It's 245. And this one sold in at the end of August, right? Smaller home, doesn't have a basement. Is This is kind of like on the back of a different lot, right? So this is kind of like an in-law suite that's sold for that amount. Um, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Mine's 3.2. So regardless to say, I'm excited about this project and I'm excited to eventually get to appraise, but one step at a time on the Chicago flip journey.